Hello, Brad Burns. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
That is great. May we ask you a few questions about your time with communities and schools in Nevada today?
Of course.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So our first question is what is your contribution to communities and schools Nevada? What have you done with them?
Well, I am an executive board member in communities and schools, and now I'm an honorary board member. The difference is in the past, I was at every board meeting when I was involved with communities and schools. Today, I'm not available for every board meeting. So they've made me honorary board member due to our financial contributions as well as time contribution to the effort.
Okay, so when you started out with communities and schools, what did you first do?
Well, the very first thing that I did with communities and schools was we donated 5,000 books to a school in downtown North Las Vegas. And from there, we won a literacy award. And because we won our literacy award, people were kind of interested that we were interested in helping children. So a principal from one of the schools came to me and asked if we could help in developing a medical clinic or a facility where the children who don't have regular medical care or even laundry care or anything to that effect, we've helped. So that's what we do. Is we primarily help children who live their lives daily without the regular things of need that you may have, i.e., for example, laundry or getting a shower or even having their own book or even having food to eat at the end of each day.
So a lot of the small things make a big difference in a child's life.
Sure, I mean, if you guys can imagine if you're trying to go to school and you go home for the day, but you don't have any food. And so you not only go home to a house with no food, you might not even have a bed to sleep in. You might be sleeping on the floor. So now the next day to have to get up to go to school is going to be harder for you. So we do this to help children, to give them a chance to be successful in school or even just normal life.
So, how did you become involved? How did you first?
Well, I became involved because my company at the time was called Real Homes, and Real Homes was about providing affordable housing. And part of providing affordable housing to me was important is to give kids a shot to maybe get into a home. So it always made me feel good when I sold a home and, in a sense, provide shelter for families. Well, so the children that didn't have a chance, we wanted to get involved in the community to help them. So that's how we got involved in communities and schools.
What does communities and schools mean to you?
Well, it really means that the community as a whole needs to get involved in our public school system. So if I have a company or if I have a store, what can I do as the community to help school children be successful? And so communities and schools provides that avenue. So somebody in the community could say, hey, I want to help the schools, but they don't know how to. So communities and schools, in a sense, provides like a broker, like a conduit between the community and the school district, and they're kind of the intermediary. So somebody says, hey, I want to give a bunch of boxes of pencils to the school district. They don't necessarily know how. They come to us at communities and schools to allow them to get those pencils to the school district.
So could you explain more of an impact that communities and schools has made? I don't know how to reword it, but could you provide some stories or any memories that you have?
One of the biggest impacts we have is that in almost every school, we have a student counselor, and that student counselor is a volunteer, and they're kind of like a person who recognizes, let me back up. They're kind of like a counselor between the teacher and the student. So if the teacher sees a student not doing well, or maybe they can't read the chalkboard, or maybe they're becoming more violent than usual. And that teacher introduces that student to this volunteer counselor. And the volunteer counselor tries to find out what's wrong. And then what we do is, once we hear what's wrong, so let's say that student needed eyeglasses so they could see this chalkboard better, we go out of our way to try to find them eyeglasses. So we go contact maybe a community business, and we say, hey, there's a student who is a really good student but can't read the chalkboard anymore, so their grades are going downhill. So we want to provide them services. So we provide them classes. This is not working anymore. I mean, I don't know.
It's gonna be
Maybe.
frozen.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's still working.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
that's what we do. I'll give you another example. It's a great story. We had two twins who came to school every other day. So one twin would come to school one day. The next day, another twin would come to school. And we figured out that they were two different people. And the reason why they came to school separately was they only had one pair of shoes. So when we found out they only had one pair of shoes, we got the another pair of shoes, and now they both were going to school.
Wow.
So we also made an arrangement so they could both get credit for school that year, and they took their tests and they both passed. So that's a great success story, how our counselor and teachers recognized just a little bit difference in the student, told them to go to the counselor, and then they found out what was really wrong, and then we just provided shoes and solved the problem.
It could be like really basic things. That
Really
parents
basic things,
can
yeah.
use.
Yeah.
So, what does like communities and schools like the actual? I don't know.
Do you have any, besides the stories you tell us, do you have a favorite memory from working in communities and schools?
Well, I think, I think one of my most favorite memories is from when a boy Taylor off.
I am in so much pain.
When a boy who was about 19 years old came to one of our free medical clinics, and he brought his brothers and sisters. And he was 19, so he had custody of his brothers and sisters. But one sister was like 16, another one was 14, another one was younger, another one was really young. And what happened was we found out that they were taking care of themselves. And because they were taking care of themselves, they didn't have like proper clothes. They didn't have, utensils to eat. They didn't have school books and whatnot. So what happened was we got all of them into school. We got them all clothes. We got them all a place where they can regularly go to school. We got them Christmas presents. And so we created a Christmas for this young family who really had no father or mother. Only had the 19-year-old brother who was taking care of him. But because he had the foresight to get the medical care, we were able to help them with their living. And that's a really nice story.
Thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
down so we could interview today.
You're welcome. It was a very long journey, but I made it.
Okay.
Be safe on your ride home.